On February 17, 1500, the Battle of Hemmingstedt took place near the village of Hemmingstedt in present-day Schleswig-Holstein, Germany. King John of Denmark and his brother Duke Friedrich aimed to subjugate the autonomous peasant republic of Dithmarschen. This strategic use of the environment led to a decisive victory for the Dithmarschen peasants, with the ducal army suffering significant losses, including many soldiers drowning in the flooded areas. The battle is a notable example of effective defensive tactics and the use of terrain in military history. On February 17, 1600, Italian philosopher Giordano Bruno was executed by burning at the stake in Rome's Campo dei Fiori. Bruno, born in 1548, was a Dominican friar who developed controversial ideas that challenged core Catholic doctrines. His beliefs included the denial of the Trinity, the divinity of Christ, and the virginity of Mary. He also proposed cosmological theories, such as the infinity of the universe and the existence of multiple worlds, which extended beyond the Copernican model. After a prolonged trial by the Roman Inquisition, Bruno was declared a heretic and sentenced to death. His execution is often cited as a significant event in the history of free thought and the conflict between emerging scientific ideas and established religious doctrines. On February 1616, Nurhaci, a chieftain of the Jurchen tribes in northeastern China, proclaimed himself Khan of the Later Jin dynasty, which served as a precursor to the Qing Dynasty. Nurhaci is recognized for unifying the Jurchen tribes and establishing a centralized state. He implemented administrative and military reforms, including the creation of the Eight Banners system, which became the foundation of the Manchu military organization. His leadership set the stage for the eventual conquest of China by his descendants and the establishment of the Qing Dynasty in 1644. On February 17, 1621, Miles Standish was appointed as the first military commander of the English Plymouth colony in North America. Standish, an English military officer hired by the Pilgrims, played a crucial role in the defense and administration of the colony. He led several expeditions against Native American groups and was instrumental in establishing the colony's security during its early years. Standish's leadership contributed to the survival and development of one of the first successful English settlements in North America. On February 1676, an expedition led by Pascual de Iriot faced a significant loss when 16 men were lost at the Evangelistas Islets, located at the western end of the Strait of Magellan. The Strait of Magellan, a crucial navigational route at the southern tip of South America, was known for its treacherous waters and challenging weather conditions. The loss highlighted the perils faced by explorers during the Age of Discovery as they navigated uncharted territories. On February 1739, the Battle of Versailles commenced as the Maratha Empire sought to invade Portuguese-occupied territory in India. The Marathas, under the leadership of Chamaji Appa, launched a campaign against the Portuguese-held fort of Versailles, Bassein, near Mumbai. The conflict was part of the larger struggle between the Marathas and European colonial powers for control over the western coast of India. The Marathas eventually captured the fort, significantly weakening Portuguese influence in the region. On February 1753, Sweden transitioned from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar to align with most of Western Europe. To make this change, Sweden declared that February 17th would be followed directly by March 1st, effectively removing 11 days from the calendar. This adjustment corrected discrepancies in the calendar system and standardized timekeeping across the country. On February 17, 1801, the United States House of Representatives resolved a tie in the Electoral College between Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr. After 36 ballots, the House elected Jefferson as president and Burr as vice president. This election led to the passage of the 12th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which established separate electoral votes for president and vice president to prevent similar situations in the future. On February 17, 1814, during the War of the Sixth Coalition, the Battle of Mormant took place in France. French forces under Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte engaged and defeated a corps of Austrian and Russian troops near the village of Mormant. The victory was part of Napoleon's efforts to defend France against the advancing coalition armies during the campaign of 1814. On February 17, 1859, during the Cochinchina campaign, a Franco-Spanish naval force under Admiral Charles Rigaud de Genouillet captured the citadel of Saigon. The Allied forces overcame the river defenses and destroyed a series of forts along the Saigon River before storming the citadel, which was manned by approximately 1,000 Qing Dynasty soldiers. Following the capture, the Allies demolished the citadel and set fire to its rice granaries as they lacked the manpower to hold it. This event marked a significant step in the French conquest of southern Vietnam. On February 17, 1863, a group of citizens in Geneva established the International Committee for Relief to the Wounded, which later became known as the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC. Inspired by Swiss humanitarian Henry Dunant's experiences at the Battle of Solferino, the committee aimed to provide neutral and impartial assistance to wounded soldiers during armed conflicts. The ICRC has since evolved into a global humanitarian organization dedicated to protecting and assisting victims of war and violence. On February 17, 1864, during the American Civil War, the Confederate submarine H.L. Hunley became the first submarine to successfully sink an enemy warship. The Hunley attacked the USS Housatonic, a Union sloop of war, off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. The submarine deployed a spar torpedo against the Housatonic, causing it to sink rapidly. However, the Hunley also sank shortly after the attack, resulting in the loss of its entire crew. This event marked a significant milestone in naval warfare history. On February 17, 1865, as Union forces under Major General William T. Sherman advanced into South Carolina, the state capital, Columbia, was set ablaze. The fires destroyed a significant portion of the city. The exact cause of the conflagration remains a subject of historical debate, with some attributing it to retreating Confederate forces and others to Union troops. The burning of Columbia symbolized the devastating impact of Sherman's March to the Sea and the Union's strategy of total war. On February 17, 1905, during the Russian Revolution of 1905, Grand Duke Sergei Alexandrovich of Russia was assassinated in the Moscow Kremlin by Ivan Kalyev, a member of the Socialist Revolutionary Party. The assassination was part of a broader campaign against the Russian imperial government, reflecting the growing unrest and revolutionary fervor in the country. On February 17, 1913, the Armory Show, officially known as the International Exhibition of Modern Art, opened at the 69th Regiment Armory in New York City. The exhibition introduced Americans to avant-garde European art movements, including Fauvism, Cubism, and Futurism. Featuring works by artists such as Marcel Duchamp, Henri Matisse, and Pablo Picasso, the show had a profound impact on American art, challenging traditional aesthetics and influencing future artistic developments. On February 17, 1944, during World War II, U.S. forces launched an assault on Eniwetok Atoll in the Marshall Islands, initiating the Battle of Eniwetok. The operation aimed to secure the atoll as a forward base for subsequent Allied operations in the Pacific Theater. After several days of intense combat, American forces secured the atoll on February 22, 1944, marking a strategic victory in the island-hopping campaign against Japan. On February 17, 1944, the United States Navy commenced Operation Hailstone, a massive naval air, surface, and submarine attack against Truk Lagoon, Japan's main base in the Central Pacific. The operation aimed to neutralize Truk as a threat to upcoming Allied operations in the Pacific. Over 2 days, U.S. forces inflicted significant damage, sinking numerous Japanese ships and destroying aircraft, effectively diminishing Truk's strategic importance. On February 17, 1959, as part of Project Vanguard, the United States launched Vanguard 2, the first weather satellite designed to measure cloud cover distribution. Although the satellite's spin stabilization was not optimal, it provided valuable data on Earth's cloud cover, contributing to the development of meteorological satellites and enhancing weather forecasting capabilities. On February 17, 1964, the U.S. Supreme Court delivered its decision in Wesbury v. Sanders, ruling that congressional districts must have approximately equal populations. This landmark case arose when James P. Wesbury Jr., a voter in Georgia's 5th congressional district, challenged the state's apportionment, arguing that his district's population was 2 to 3 times larger than others in Georgia, thereby diluting his vote. The court held that such disparities violated the Constitution, emphasizing that, as nearly as is practicable, one person's vote in a congressional election is to be worth as much as another's. This decision reinforced the principle of one person, one vote in the context of federal elections. On February 17, 1965, NASA launched the Ranger 8 spacecraft as part of its Ranger program aimed at obtaining high-resolution images of the Moon's surface to aid in selecting landing sites for future Apollo missions. Ranger 8 was specifically tasked with photographing the Mare Tranquillitatis region, which would later become the landing site for Apollo 11. The spacecraft successfully transmitted 7,137 images before impacting the lunar surface on February 20, 1965. These images provided critical data on the lunar terrain, significantly contributing to the planning and execution of crewed lunar landings. In February 1969, American aquanaut Barry L. Cannon died of carbon dioxide poisoning while attempting to repair a leak in the Sealab 3 underwater habitat off the coast of California. Sealab 3 was part of a U.S. Navy program to study the feasibility of extended human habitation and operations at depths of up to 600 feet. Cannon's tragic death led to the abandonment of the Sealab program and highlighted the inherent risks of deep-sea exploration. In 1972, the Volkswagen Beetle became the world's best-selling car model, surpassing the record previously held by the Ford Model T. The Beetle's cumulative sales exceeded 15 million units, a testament to its popularity and enduring design. Originally developed in Nazi Germany, the Beetle gained international acclaim in the post-World War II era for its reliability, affordability, and distinctive shape. On February 17, 1974, U.S. Army Private Robert K. Preston stole a helicopter from Fort Meade, Maryland, and flew it to the White House in Washington, D.C. Preston hovered over the executive mansion and briefly landed on the South Lawn before taking off again. He was eventually forced down by police and arrested. Preston later stated that he wanted to demonstrate his piloting skills. The incident raised concerns about White House security and led to changes in airspace regulations over Washington, D.C. On February 17, 1979, China launched a military invasion of Vietnam, marking the beginning of the Sino-Vietnamese War. The conflict was triggered by Vietnam's invasion of Cambodia, which had ousted the Chinese-backed Khmer Rouge regime. China aimed to teach Vietnam a lesson and to curb Soviet influence in Southeast Asia. After a brief but intense conflict lasting about a month, Chinese forces withdrew and both sides claimed victory. The war resulted in significant casualties and strained relations between the two countries for years. On February 17, 1980, Polish climbers Krzysztof Wilicki and Leszek Sycki achieved the first winter ascent of Mount Everest, the world's highest peak. Braving extreme cold, high winds, and the challenges of climbing at high altitude during winter, their successful ascent marked a significant milestone in mountaineering history. This feat demonstrated human endurance and determination in the face of formidable natural obstacles. In February 1996, world chess champion Garry Kasparov faced IBM supercomputer Deep Blue in a 6-game match in Philadelphia. Kasparov lost the first game, but ultimately won the match with a score of 4-2. This event was significant as it showcased the advancements in artificial intelligence and sparked discussions about the future of human-computer interactions. The following year, an upgraded version of Deep Blue would go on to defeat Kasparov in a rematch, marking the first time a computer defeated a world champion in a match under standard chess tournament time controls. On February 17, 1996, NASA's Near-Earth Asteroid Rendezvous, NEAR Shoemaker spacecraft was launched as part of the Discovery program. Its mission was to study the near-Earth asteroid 433 Eros. NEAR Shoemaker successfully entered orbit around Eros in February 2000, conducting detailed observations and measurements. In February 2001, the spacecraft made a controlled descent and landed on the asteroid's surface, marking the first time a spacecraft had landed on an asteroid. The mission provided valuable insights into the composition and characteristics of asteroids. On February 17, 2008, Kosovo unilaterally declared its independence from Serbia, following years of conflict and international administration. The declaration was met with mixed reactions globally. While countries like the United States and many European Union members recognized Kosovo's sovereignty, others, including Serbia and Russia, did not. The move has led to ongoing debates and diplomatic challenges regarding international recognition and Kosovo's status in the global community.